6 p.m. in Yaoundé, same time right here in Akwadwala. Good evening, dear viewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for taking the rendezvous with us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. Tragedy hits government bilingual high school Dedo Douala. A Form 1 student dies under unclear circumstances while carrying out physical exercise on campus. The corpse of the 10-year-old has been deposited at the Dedo District Hospital's mortuary. Her death has left family members and her classmates inconsolable. Circumstances surrounding her death will be explained in the course of this newscast. Also, we'll take you to the United States of America, who is winning the historic neck-to-neck Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris battle. The pursuit for the White House takes central stage. Millions of Americans continue heading to polls to cast their votes. Those are major stories. Stick around for the development of these stories. If you're just joining us, then know you are watching the 6 p.m. news on Equinoxe Television, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. The mysterious death of a 10-year-old from one student of a government bilingual high school, Dedo, has sparked a lot of shock. Little Doval is reported to have been killed by an iron movable goalpost within the campus. The mother of Doval, Mirabel Gondo, however, does not believe in the version of the school authorities, as we have details with Smart Jikan Gabriel.
The mother of the Form 1 student of government bilingual high school Dedo demands the school authorities to give back her daughter Duval. Refusing her entrance into the school campus, she attempts bringing down the gate of GBHS Dedo. But what happened to Duval? We were doing sports and she was amongst many who were playing by the goal post. Even as the sports teacher asked all to leave, she still remained turning around the goal post. Suddenly the pole fell and burst her head. After the incident, the argument was now on who took Duval to the hospital. For the family, what surprised us is my wife informed me that it was the student who took the corpse to the hospital, which was supposed to be done by school officials. But the classmates of Duval had a different narrative. It was the sports teacher who took her to the hospital, but before she could reach the hospital, that she had already given up the ghost. We were only informed later in class about her demise. The family of little Duval was also disappointed at the way the school administrators treated their dead kids. When we arrived at the hospital, it seems it was a family business. If the school says an iron goal post killed Duval, the family isn't convinced about it, as they found other aspects to believe that Duval wasn't killed by this iron goal post. When we saw the corpse of the child, one is made to think it wasn't just the iron pole that killed her, because she was bleeding profusely. Even her private parts were touched. Investigations which have been opened will shed more light on the death of little Duval.
An unfortunate scene happening there at Government Bilingual High School, Dedo. And notwithstanding the conflicting thoughts about what must have caused the death of a little Doval during a brief chat with the press, the regional delegate for secondary education for the Lidura region, Tama Ebua, reiterates that the little girl died accidentally during sports. We have details in this excerpt compiled by Smart Chikan Gabriel.
Well, this morning by the authorities of the school, the GBHS Dedo, where the situation occurred during the sports lesson, and the Form 1 students were doing their sports, and that little girl was around. It was her class, but she was not doing sports, so she went, she approached herself on the tools, and unfortunately she fell down, and the sad situation is what we have.
And away from that, sociologists and crime experts say the rise in insecurity in Douala is motivated by the poor implementation of government policy, falling resources dedicated to security officials, and the approaching end of year. They were speaking to our reporter, Fomi Armstrong-Sanda.
On Saturday, November the 3rd, 2024, the lifeless body of a young woman was discovered in a garbage disposal site in Makepe Pitipi in the Douala 5 municipality. Most disturbing is the fact that her breast, genital organs, heart and intestines were not found on her at the time of her discovery. The discovery comes 2 weeks after a similar incident with a different young lady in the Dokpasi village neighborhood of the Douala 3 municipality. On same Saturday night, over 6 young persons were stabbed in Makepe Misoke in the Douala 5. This series of security incidents come at a time when administrative and security officials of Douala have been fighting to eradicate the gang of delinquent individuals known as the microbes. The city is now faced with increased aggressions, armed robbery, killings, and assassinations. The question in the mind of every city dweller is what explains this rise in insecurity and horrible crimes.
Poverty. The government make a lot of programs of the young, but
crime expert Maitre Alain Christian Bay blames it on incompetent individuals charged with the management of the many youth insertion programs created by the government of Cameroon. This leaves the youth in poverty, hungry and vulnerable to criminality, he says.
Qu'on appelle se charger d'animer.
Les moyens de coercition sociale.
A sociologist, Serge Aimé Bikoy, believes that another reason is a fall or a decline in the control of the forces of law and order. He says gendarmerie and police officials are overwhelmed by the growing and disturbing situation. While outlining that insecurity has the tendency to rise with the approach of the end of year activities, civil
Innocent as a Fomi Armstrong-Sanda reporting there. Away from that, unrealized road projects in the part of Douala 5 subdivision like Peka 14, Peka 17, Peka 19 and Goma by the Douala City Council has brought untold hardship to the residents of these localities. Accessibility in these localities or through these quarters to other neighborhoods has become a veritable nightmare to locals. Innocent as a report on the ordeals faced by the population in this report.
It is a veritable nightmare lived by the population of Peka 14, Peka 17, Peka 19 and Goma in the Douala 5 subdivision. From Peka 14 to Peka 17 this wet season, business persons, commuters, pupils and students battle to reach their destinations on these cratered and slippery muddy roads.
Monsieur et dame, quand ils rentrent du marché, tombent ici tous les jours. Moi, monsieur a tombé par 2 fois, donc c'est pas évident que le matin, quand les enfants sont habillés, et ils vont, mais quand ils arrivent à l'école, ils sont sales.
The road that is supposed to link Ngoma and Lenzi, as well as Ngoma Plateau from Carrefour Décharge, is almost impassable.
J'utilise maintenant la moto, c'est ça qui me permet d'entrer facilement et sortir facilement, parce que la voiture ici, à tout moment, nous sommes en panne, nous sommes toujours en panne.
Similar situation when heading towards the Ngoma prison.
Je suis dans un quartier comme ça qu'on appelle entre prison, généralement. Le quartier est en défaillant. Et quand j'arrive, à chaque moment, je me plonge seulement dans l'eau.
Ngoma village is today regarded as king of bad road networks, as even bikes and pedestrians stress to access them.
Même le régisseur de la prison, le camion des prisonniers, les piétons, personne ne peut emprunter cette route quittant de la nationale qui va à Yabassi pour la prison. Tout le monde est obligé de passer par la voie de contournement de l'entrée chez Philippe Peka 19.
Even the traditional ruler of the village is aware of the difficulties people face on the main roads and quarter roads.
This is really a disappointment. If you want to get an appropriate treatment, you have challenge to get to the main road and to get to a hospital.
He is, however, working at this level to ensure rehabilitation works on the main roads accelerate.
You know, this road, it's a departmental road. So one thing we will do is to write and then ask for, let's say, the state to know what is causing the delay of repairing this road.
In Peka 19, the state of roads is similar. Riding or driving into the quarters is a cause for alarm.
a situation brought about by abandoned public works by the Douala City Council. Since they started road projects and abandoned them, the population suffer from runoffs and inundations.
Regardez, quand il pleut, on doit le contourner partout. Que tu sois un grand ou un petit, traverser ça. Quand il a plu, tu ne peux pas.
People find it difficult to easily connect with other localities.
Enfin, l'entrée sur le Combo, face au collège Foucault-Michel. D'ici, l'Ogbissou, c'est grave. Les voitures ne passent plus. Le pont qui est en bas là, c'est presque coupé.
Locals of Pécatrès, 14, 17, 19 and Goma implore the Douala City Council to hear the cry of their sufferings and grant them the relief they have long awaited.
And in the same vein, the bad state of roads on the stretch Pekadus-Konjok in the Douala 3 subdivision is a major challenge for inhabitants of the area who find it difficult to move in and out of the area, as Siri Chakutio tells us in this report.
Inhabitants of Gonjok to Pekadus in the Douala 3 subdivision have been complaining of the bad state of roads for the past months in their locality.
Vraiment, c'est pas du tout facile puisque
it is really difficult to ride on this stretch of road. We organized ourselves to arrange parts of the road, but even so, it's still hard, mostly when it rains.
Après la saison des pluies, il s'agit comme ça de Pekadus, Gonjok.
You see, leaving Pekadus to Gonjok, we usually pay 100 francs, but now we pay more.
We are paying 300, 400.
To the inhabitants, the bad state of the roads affects their movement to their church. We are children of God. It has been 5 years we are here, and it always has been difficult for us to go to church with the conditions of our roads. Just look at the road. It's really difficult.
Même en semaine, il faut avouer que l'accès au niveau de la paroisse est très compliqué.
A church which has not seen a parish priest for the past 4 years now.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, I call on you on this day to come and support our Christian community so that we should be able to build up a church that is worthy of Christ, a church that is worthy of the Christian that lives here. The house of God is not a house of only the Christians. The house of God is the house of all nations.
Inhabitants are waiting for active solutions from their local authorities.
On to other news, the Minister of Commerce, Luke Magrambaga, has frowned at business people who unlawfully increase the price of beer and other drinks. According to the minister, the price of alcohol remains unchanged. Asa Lucilengu has the details.
Business people selling in drinking establishments have continued to unlawfully increase beer prices in the country. Reports indicate that the price of alcohol has increased between 700 and 800 francs at various drinking outlets, with some brands now selling as much as 800 francs. This surge in prices is attributed to several factors, including rising transportation costs and increased taxes. Local and international consumer associations like LASICOM have responded to the price hikes, demanding transparency and accountability from the government and producers. They urge the Minister of Commerce to take action to protect consumer rights and prevent further unjustified increases. Reacting to this, the Minister of Commerce in a communique signed on November 4, 2024 says the increase is a violation to the existing laws. Luke Magrambaga Tangana emphasizes that both alcohol and other drinks are on the list of products that require prior government approval. Therefore, the recent unilateral price hike by these operators is invalid and prices remain unchanged. The ministry warns all those who go against this instruction by increasing the prices of beer, as they will face legal consequences.
Away from our human interest page, preparations are heating up ahead of next year's presidential elections in Cameroon. Different stakeholders are undertaking actions to ensure a hitch-free election of the country's next president. The Littoral Regional Delegate for the Ministry of Communication assembled some journalists today in Douala to keep them so they can effectively play their role in the electoral process when time comes. Babla Jonathan reports.
Ahead of the 2025 presidential election in Cameroon, These journalists working in the littoral region of the country are being drilled on their contribution in efforts to ensure a free, fair, transparent, credible and peaceful electoral process.
The journalist who must report should be honest and report what he has seen and not be brought over to concoct and fabricate things and please somebody.
Il était temps que les journalistes se rappellent quel est leur rôle social.
The Littoral Regional Delegate of Communication, Law Marie Mokoko, underscores the strategic role of the media, thus the need for election experts like international lawyer and peace crusader and Tumfo barrister Nico Halle to sharpen the skills of the practitioners.
When you put love, justice flows. Transparency flows. Accountability flows. Integrity, dignity, and honor, they flow. The fear of the Lord flows. The truth flows. And, patriotism flows. And so on that platform, journalists should work. And all stakeholders should work in order to guarantee free, fair, transparent, accountable elections. Peaceful election.
Journalists are also expected to be anti-hate crusaders in the discharge of their duties, as highlighted by communication consultant and Defy Hate representative Tarian Tabe in his presentation.
Journalists should not take anything for granted. Journalists should be able to be independent as much as they can. Journalists in Cameroon should be able to have fact-checking tools at their disposal. They should not believe in anything politicians say unless they fact-check these things. Journalists have a responsibility to pick information from all other sources and give to the community for them to make informed choices. That is the role of journalists in elections reporting.
A good understanding of the electoral law and process is also an indispensable element in the work of a journalist covering an election. This is why the journalists are being edified on the election framework in Cameroon by Ntepe Yembe Charles, representative of the elections organizing body, Elections Cameroon.
And now we move straight away to our foreign page. Voting for a new president of America culminates today in the United States of America. Millions of Americans have been casting their votes either for the Republican candidate Donald Trump or the Democrat Kamala Harris. And Abila spoke with a former Democratic senatorial candidate in America and presents some of the stakes of this election.
For the first time, a minority of black woman is running for president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris, vice president of the Democratic Party, is doing the race with former president and Republican head Donald Trump. The stakes of the 2024 presidential election seem really high. Cameroonian American and former Democratic senatorial candidate Nana Roland says it's time to change the dynamics of the political landscape of America.
How do we determine the future of America? Is America want to return to its old days when everything was the white man, or America wants to be a diverse nation? Don't forget, our diversity is our strength, but you have some section of the population that do not believe that diversity is their strength. They think that it has to, they are looking backwards. So it's a clear choice between looking forward and looking backward. Donald Trump says, let's take America, make America great again, which means he believes America of the 1960s, the 1950s, the 1970s was a lot better for him or his likes. And then you have Kamala Harris, who says, let's take America forward. Let's look at the diversity of our nation and make it a strength. Let our daughters dream that one day they could become president. Let minorities who are educated, that can add to the economic and social development of the United States, come to the U.S. and be part of that development. Pay taxes like everybody else. Have equal rights like everybody else.
Considering the stance of the Republicans on making America great again, one question can be evident. Are Americans ready to have a woman at the head of the country?
Yes, of course. Americans have been looking for the right candidate. And this time it happens to be a Democratic minority lady. Kamala Harris is Indian and black. And our daughters, what are we teaching our daughters? What are we telling our daughters? That let them go to school. They can become the presidents of the United States. Yet never happened. But this time, America has an opportunity to elect a minority, a black woman with Indian descent as president.
Americans, especially the brown-skinned, believe that if and only if Kamala Harris gets to the White House, the world would surely get a lesson straight. The strength of a woman.
Our daughters today, they'll go to school tomorrow, knowing that if they work hard in school, they can become president. This should also be a good lesson for our brothers in Africa and Cameroon in particular. That let our parents in the villages send our daughters to school. Let them not keep them back, because they can become president of Cameroon tomorrow. They pay taxes. They do almost every job that a man does, a woman can do. Sometimes even do better.
U.S. election results are declared within hours of the polls closing. Analysts say this year's tight contest could mean a longer wait before the results are proclaimed.
Staff Lady Annabella ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is a U.S. citizen. He is known as Jerome Kamchum Chateau, popularly known as Njek Chateau. He is a French professor, a French and Social Studies professor at the Defense Language Institute Division of the U.S. Department of Defense. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Fogwe, and your colleague. It's my pleasure to be here with you today.
Today, millions of Americans head to the polls to elect their president. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are the two candidates vying for the position. What is it like being in America today? How is the general atmosphere like at this moment?
Let's say today is what we call in the U.S. the D-Day, which is the day of the election. This election is quite different compared to others. Because what is the reason? The reason being we have a candidate with a woman, a female. This is the second one. The first one didn't go through. It was Hillary Clinton. Now we have Kamala Harris, who is a Democratic Party candidate. And as if you are following the news, the election is very, very tight. I mean, the polls are very, very tight. So it's a very big day, and we are just waiting for the outcome.
Now, from our findings, the elections in the United States is quite different from how it's done in other countries. It's clear that the presidential candidate who wins the majority of popular votes on election day does not necessarily win the White House. Can you clarify us on how elections are done in the U.S.?
Yes, in the U.S., we have what they call the college electoral vote. What does that mean? It means that based maybe on the population or has they divided the country, each state has a number of college electoral votes. Now, if you win that state, it means that you win the all numbers. To become a president in the United States, you have to have 270 college electoral. If you see the case of Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote but did not win the college electoral vote. So the number is to win is 270. So that's how it's divided. Each state, some states have, I think the biggest state that have more college electoral vote is California. I think the second is Texas, and so on and so forth. So it's by college electoral vote.
Now, you focus on the number of electoral votes that is needed. How does the electoral college voting system work? This is how it works.
It means that, like I said, it's already divided, and now each candidate tries to do is best to win the state. Now, in the U.S., some of the states are already we know is blue, like California. I'm not saying it will never turn red, but 90% of the time, they know California blue means going for Democratic Party. Texas is red. Red means going to Republican Party. Now, we have some states that we call swing swing state, which means we don't know where it goes. That's where the candidate do a lot of campaign to try to win those states.
Last night, the presidential candidates made their final late-night pitches to potential voters in battleground states. During that Donald Trump final rally, he said his real opponent was not Vice President Kamala Harris, but rather an evil democratic system. Are you convinced that the outcome of the elections will be fair and transparent?
Yes, I'm convinced that it's going to be fair. I mean, that's Donald Trump saying that. I mean, he even said before that if he wins the election is fair. But if he loses the election, the election is rigged. So I don't understand his opinion. That's his opinion. Me, I think, you know, in the U.S., the election, he lost the election 4 years ago against the current president, Joe Biden. He said there was some fraud in Georgia, here, there. I don't know. I mean, that's him. Nobody can prove it, you know.
According to you, and seeing how events are unfolding, who is more likely to be the next president of the United States of America?
To be honest with you, as I said, the election is very, very, very close to call. We never saw that, even in the poll. Me, I like it that way because 8 years ago, against Hillary Clinton, Hillary was ahead in all the poll, but she lost. I even prefer that it's been tight. So at the end, I mean, we don't know. We're going to be following the election as it goes. But honestly, right now, Kamala, the vice president, is a little bit ahead on the poll. Now I say a little bit is like 2%, and that's nothing. And I mean, we just keep our finger crossed and see who's going to win this election.
Now, talking to you as an individual, who do you want to win these elections and why?
Well, I don't know. Me, I mean, there was a debate. Each candidate lay out his agenda, his program, and you know, based on internal, like national politics and financial. I'm a professor myself, and then I'm a financial person since I did the MBA in the US, and I work in many institutions. So right now, to be honest, there is a little bit of inflection in the US. There's an inflection. So it's based on that, but I think when you take it overall, for me, Kamala Harris has the best agenda. For me. But for other people, I don't know. Because, you know, the former President Donald Trump, like, if we take something like the healthcare, he keeps saying that, okay, they have to remove what we call in the U.S. Obamacare, which is the insurance system for almost everybody, but it doesn't even have a program, you know, to replace that. So when I see the internationally, like Kamala Harris, we work more with Western countries like France, UK, and Donald Trump. For me, it's more a businessman, though. That's my opinion.
Jerome Kamchum Tancho, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be part of Talking Point tonight. And that's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next in some few minutes is Equinoxe with Serge Alem Otu. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.